Alright, so in today's video, I want to talk about if you should use a slow sense or a fast sense. Now, I have used hundreds of sensitivities, and I always get asked, what is the best sense? And I always respond with sensitivity is completely preference. There's people on slow senses who are insanely good, and there's people who are on fast senses who are insanely good. But I want to allow you guys to make up your decision by let me help you, basically is what I'm saying. I want to help you guys make your decision. So I want to talk about the benefits of a fast sense, the benefits of a slow sense, and even a hybrid sense. And then I'm going to talk about what I use, so that way you guys can really help find your own sensitivity. Now, what would I consider a slow sensitivity? I would say if you were to be using a slow sense, it would be something with the vertical and horizontal around 30 or less. Like 30 or less. I don't really think the vertical too much. I've seen people with like 20 verticals and higher horizontals. But if you have something similar to this where it's like 20, 30, 35 in that range, I would consider that a slow sensitivity. Now let's apply this and let's see what the benefits are of this. Now I'm actually gonna put on 30-30. This is like what Iowa used for a while, for years. Now what are the benefits of this? I wrote these all down so you guys can understand this. On a slow sensitivity, you are going to have much more consistent aim, meaning you are not gonna have to come on and warm up to get used to your sense. Your sense is gonna be a lot easier to get used to because your aim is not all over the place, so it doesn't move a lot because of how slow it is. It might look ugly when I use it because I do not use slow sensitivities, but in general, a slow sense will be easier to get used to consistently. I also feel like it's easier to trace on a slow sensitivity because it allows you to push on your analog stick more without it going all over the place. Basically, on a faster sense, you have to touch the analog stick very, very little because it will move a lot if you push too much. So on a slower sensitivity, you're going to notice that your tracing of something is going to be a lot better because you have a lot more room to push your analog stick more. So there's more room for error without like you dying or losing the gunfight. I also feel like another benefit of a slow sensitivity is the crosshair placement. It's easier to keep good crosshair placement because if you were to like quickly aim up, it won't go all over the place. So it's much easier to keep a good crosshair placement. Now, these are the benefits of it, but what are the negatives of it? It is so slow. Like, if I have to turn around to somebody, nah, I'm dead. I'm actually dead. Which, if I didn't mention what the ADS was, on a slow sense, I would consider a slow ADS something like this. Like, I use a slow ADS on my sensitivity in that 18 to 28 to 29 30 range is what I would consider a slow ADS. So one of the negatives is, look at this, bro, you're a snail. You take 17 years to turn around, 2 to 3 business days to turn around on the guy that's shooting at you. Like, you are dead before you could even do anything. I also feel on a slow sense it is harder to flick because you have to really push that analog stick over a lot more in order to flick. Whereas on a faster sense, it's less, which I'm going to get into. We're going to talk about the faster sense in a minute. So on a slower sense, you're going to get better aim. It's going to be easier to trace, but it's going to be hard to turn around. It's going to be harder to flick. So those are the positives and negatives. Now let's talk about the fast sense positive negatives. Then let's talk about what I think you should use as well as what I use. Now, what would I consider a fast sense? I would consider anything in the 50 and up range, I would consider fast. So, I mean, technically, I guess this would be medium, I guess, because it's in the middle, so medium, right? But I feel like anything like higher than 55, 60 is a fast sensitivity. So if we were to look at my sensitivity, 5100, okay, now this feels super fast because I just got off that disgusting slow sense. But look, what are the positives of this? What do I gain from using this sensitivity, right? The first benefit, I can flick way easier. It is way easier to flick on a fast sensitivity than is a slow sense. Why is that? It's because I'm moving my analog stick much less. So it's just a little bit of a quick little like jab step, like I'm shooting a basketball, I hit him with a and like in comparison to having to completely Euro step just to be able to flick on a slow sensitivity, it's horrible. So flicking, way better, way better on a faster sense. I also feel like your reaction time is a lot better on a faster sense because if you see something, you can quickly react to it. Basically, with the same thing of like just being slow to turn around, it's just harder to turn around. It's harder to react to stuff, right? On a faster sense, you can react to things quicker. So if somebody's there, I can turn around fast enough, or I can turn around fast enough. either ADS or on ADS. And also when it comes to ADS, which I keep forgetting to mention, what is a fast ADS? I feel like I would consider something along the lines of 40 and higher for ADS. I feel like are pretty fast because this thing can go up to 200. So like something like this, that's a fast ADS. This is a fast ADS. You are going to turn around on somebody super quick, but it is easier to flick. I also feel like the recoil control is a lot easier on a faster sense. Now, why is that? Because when I'm on a faster sense, I have to pull down less, right? There's less pulling down, whereas on the slower sense, I have to pull down more. So because you have to pull down less, it just makes it a lot easier because there's just not much pulling down going on. It is a little bit harder at first to get used to, pulling down less, especially if you come from a faster sense, but you get used to it. Now, what are some of the cons or the negatives? Your aim is going to be less consistent, meaning it's going to be harder to have that good aim. So you're going to have to come into the shooting range and warm up a little bit more than somebody who would be on a slower sense, because it's just harder to control a faster sense and have that really, really good aim. Whereas on a slower sense, I don't need to warm up nearly as much because my aim is not moving much at all. It's really just very similar. The more you use a faster sense, though, the less you have to warm up, but you're still always going to have to warm up. Like me, I've been using a faster sense forever, and I require, give me like 2 warm-up games and I'm ready, or 2 free-for-alls and I'm good. Another negative is just harder to look around and control a faster sense than it is a slow sense, because it's all over the place. Every micro movement can cause a lot, so it can be harder to use a faster sense at times. But now, what do I use and why, and what should you use? Now, I use something that I call a hybrid sense. Why do I use this? Because if you looked at the positives that I gave you for the slow sense, what were they? They were that the aim is way more consistent, you don't have to warm up as much, and it's easier to trace, right? So we take the positives of a slow sense, then we look at the positives of a fast sensitivity. We're able to turn around super quick if we need to, we're still able to flick if we need to, and the recoil is easier because I have to pull down less. Correct, right? So that's what I have right here. I have the 5100 for the fast. Then I have the 1924 for the slow. Then I have the advanced settings to be able to flick around fast enough and still be able to flick around, but it will only be fast when I'm flicking due to this thing called the outer threshold. It will only increase my ADS sensitivity when it notices that I flick my analog stick to the right. Now, if you're still undecided on which one you want to use, what I would recommend that you do is that you go and you look at whatever your sensitivity is right now, okay? If I explained your sensitivity and you are in the slow range, so once again, let's be clear, slow is like 30 or less for the vertical and 35 or less for the horizontal. If you're in that range, along with your ADS being like 15 to 25 range, you're a slow sense player. So what would I do? Either stick to the slow sense or maybe increase it a little bit. If anything, I would increase your horizontal. I would leave the ADS the same. I'd kind of just focus on the horizontal so you can still turn around faster if you need to, but you don't want to mess up everything. You don't want to change everything. Now, what about the faster sense? If you play on something like this, I play on, let's say 5100, or maybe you even play like 6075 or 5080, right? I would more tune your ADS than I would your horizontal and vertical. I feel like when you are changing these a lot, these are 100% going to affect your sensitivity. So if I put my stuff on 1 vertical, 1 horizontal, but then I was on 200 ADS, my aim would still be weird. It would not be the same as 200 ADS with 5100. So when you are constantly changing the vertical, the horizontal, the ADS, it's going to mess it up a lot. So if you're on a faster sensitivity, maybe if it's super fast for the horizontal, lower that a little bit by like 5 or 10. But I would just look at more of your ADS. Like, look at me. I play on 1924. Just focus on tuning your ADS down. It does not need to be this low, but just focus on tuning it down. And if you also know another creator's sensitivity that you like, let's say you saw me do like a Lunley video or Truman or Jinxie or Stompin', and you want to use their sense. What my advice to you were to be to take their sensitivity, right? But then fine tune it to yourself. Take their sensitivity as a starting base ground. So if you were like, I want to use Royal Penguin sensitivity, you would take the 5100. Then you would take the ADS. But then let's say you go and you use it, right? And your aim is dog shit. Like you're like, oh, I can't hit a shot. My aim is terrible. What do you do from there? From there, I would recommend just going to the ADS and lowering it. Maybe lower the horizontal to 90, maybe lower the vertical to 40, but don't drastically change it. Just use this as a base. And then go back into the shooting range. Be like, okay, how does it feel now? Right? It's not going to feel perfect at first. It won't. But just find something that you feel comfortable on. Once you can find something you generally feel comfortable on, you don't have to tweak the ADS anymore. Or you have to tweak the ADS a little less. Instead of going down 5 at a time, go down 2 at a time. And then stick to that. Do not keep changing it. There's no need to keep tweaking it. At that point, just stick to it. That's where you grind with it. That's where you warm up with it. I always prefer a faster sense over a slower sense. That's just what I like. If I have to just answer the question, which one is better? I think a faster sensitivity is better. But I also think it's good to have the benefits of both. So that's why I do what I do. I used to use 100. But this is my new thing now. This is what I've been using for the last 2 years. I like it a lot, and I'm not going to change it. I have no plans to change it. But I want you guys to comment down below. Do you use a fast sense? Do you use a slow sense? And why? Comment down below so other people can also see your reasoning of why you use that sense or why not. But I will see y'all. Much love. Peace.